What's up? What's up? Chun, what's up, brother? Walker, what's up, my boy? We're gonna be brief tonight. At least I'm gonna try to be. I'm gonna try to be brief. I'm gonna discuss how easy it is to psyop us. Like that's something
Recently, Jet
that I don't
Magazine
think
asked its
we really know. Yeah, let's see here. I don't want that tab up yet. Man, working on things, man. Working on things. We about to get those discourse jumping. So need to work with you on networking with some local brothers in Charlotte, man. We're trying to do some things behind the scenes for networking with black men strategies. So you're definitely one of the guys I want to reach out to. So warm it up, man. We got to all hang out. New pod dropped yesterday. Let's go check out the topics. Yesterday pod was pretty good. I think it was like hour 40 minutes. If I can pull it up real quick here. Let's see here. First thing first, open up Gav in the thread story. We didn't talk about the fitness influencer that was saying that we are confusing Instagram people as hey, June, I'm actually gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about Jasmine Crockett in a minute. I'm gonna open up with Jasmine Crockett, but I don't even have anything ill to say about her. But I got to discuss our community real quick. Fitness influencer exposes the Miami influencers escorts. I don't know who don't know that influencers aren't selling it. We talked about our culture for a minute, man. This idea, they opened up Marathon Burger, and we had a gang shooting. You know, we literally opened up a burger joint. We had a conversation on that, man. It is getting to the point where we got to do something in our community ourselves. Like we can no longer wait on this. Then we talked about Miss Diaz, right? Speaking of selling it, saying she wanted $50,000 a month to be with a guy. So one of the things that I said about that was, and I'll say it here. I was like, yo, she's not collecting $50,000 a month. What she's telling you is how much is it going to cost if you want her to be monogamous. So that diet sex work. And then we discussed, we went into a little bit with Joe Budden discussing losing his virginity. And we discussed, you know, what will we change from our youth to now. So, and after that, Michael Rainey, we spoke a little bit on the U.S. war with Iran. And then Atlanta Hawks, Magic City fallout. So that was wrapping up the pod. So good pod yesterday. About an hour and a half long. So check that out if you have not checked it out now. Now the Jasmine Crockett thing. You know, so I had queued up to play Jasmine Crockett. And then I was like, nah, because I was like, I don't want to discuss Jasmine. Like Jasmine isn't. She's not the problem per se, right? The problem is how we identify with politicians, right? Now, most black men do not identify with Jasmine Crockett. Most black men also did not identify with Barack Obama. Most black men also did not identify with Jesse Jackson. These men all stand on their own. As men in our community, we kind of stand on our own. And probably about 2-3 pods ago, we talked about that there's an indoctrination that our women experience when they go to college, right? Through black feminism, which is kind of sold as liberation, right? Whether it's Audre Lorde, whether it's Alice Walker, whether it's Bell Hooks, Kimberly Crenshaw, Angela Davis even, right? And here's the thing. If you actually went through each one of those women, like personal life, and if you actually saw who they married, right? Or what were their views on the relationships, right? Because one of the things that we always get away from is that we always have to take male-female relationships as if they're adversarial, right? Like we in the black community, we never really have conversations about men and women being one another's significant other, right? Everything that we're taught in our community is adversarial, right? Other communities, if you think about an Asian man and an Asian woman, you low-key think about them together, right? If you think about a Hispanic man and a Hispanic woman, you low-key thinking about them being together. If you have to think about a white man and a white woman, the creators of the patriarchy and feminism, right? You think about them being together. You're thinking about them in a relationship. With the black community, we think about a black man and a black woman for somehow we're competing against something. They think they are their own race. I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that. And the same way that we talk about gang culture in our community being a subculture, but being representative of us, there's something that's going on when it comes to our women with the studying of Hooks, Lord, Crenshaw, Collins, Alice Walker. There's something that's occurring there, right? And we have not flushed that out in our community, right? Because when we think of men and women, and one of the biggest reasons why I speak the way that I speak, right? I never talk to the ladies. I only speak to the men because it's the only way I can seem to get a message out about black men coalescing together and elevating ourselves without a distraction. It's the only way I found to do it. But with the whole Jasmine Crockett thing, it's two things that I want to address here. One, I do not like we run to this idea where they must be cheating, right? That is such a cop out, and the other side should have never done it, and we need to beat that shit into oblivion, right? Peaceful transfer of power is the only bedrock we have in this country, right? We cannot start this I win, amazing, you win, cheating. I don't like it. That part I do not like. And the second part that I'm going to say about this is, the second thing I'm going to add when it comes to Jasmine Crockett is, I got onto I'm in a group chat with several black women, my homegirls. You know, they like bothering me, right? And it's all in fun. But one of the things that I said to them, I asked them, what more did this country need to show you that it's not game time right now? We cannot play identity politics. If white people are saying they're only voting for white males right now, we need to run that. Because when you run identity politics and you lose, you get nothing. Right? If you're going to run identity politics right now, you got to go where the majority of the country, 65% of this country, right? It's going to be Anglo-American. And in a state like Texas that redrew their lines to cheat, we can't just show up and say, well, I'm qualified, right? That's not good enough. You have to want to win. And in order to win, you got to do what it takes to win. And if that's getting behind the other guy, you got to get behind the other guy. Right? Yes, the person that is representing you does not look like you. That ain't really new to us, fam. That ain't really new to us. Black man, we got our nigga wake up call after Obama. Absolutely. But before his term was up, we got it. Soon as that Tea Party got rolling, none of us, well, a lot of us didn't know that the Tea Party was going to turn to this, but I called it then. I was like, yo, they're back. Right? The dog whistle is becoming a bullhorn. Now, I mean, everything's going on right now. I mean, it's short of just being the N-word being said by Capitol Hill. That's kind of where we at now. So we really, right? We have to want to win. So when I look at Jasmine Crockett running for Senate, like, for one, there's no guarantee that what's the guy named Tarico, I believe, Tarico. There's no guarantee that he's going to win, right? I mean, it's Texas, and Texas redrew the lines to cheat, right? Which made Virginia do what they did, which made California do what they did. And look, states are allowed to do that, right? When Texas did it, I didn't freak out. It was messed up, but I was like, you know what? Guess who else is going to do it? I knew California. I didn't know Virginia was going to do it. I knew California was about to do the same thing, and that was going to balance out. So it wasn't that big of a deal. He got a one for a shot. Now, the only thing that might hurt them in Texas is they drew those lines, and there's a lot of Hispanics or Latinos in Texas, and they might have gotten their wake-up call too. So Texas might have screwed themselves. We're gonna see. If there's an election on November, what is that? November 3rd, November 5th. I can't remember the date. Whatever that Tuesday is in November. If there is an election, we will know November 3rd. We're gonna know how it works out. If there's I'm assuming there's gonna be an election. The Anglos have not came out the way I would expect them to come out. Like, y'all went ham over black people drink out of water fountains, and right now there are $140 million no bid contracts been passed out to 8-day-old companies. So we're gonna see how the midterms shake out. However the midterms shake out, it's gonna kind of tell us what to expect when it comes to. It's gonna kind of tell us what to expect when it comes to 2028. We already know it's gonna be some kind of fuckery, but we'll understand that. New York State is doing that next year before the midterm. Yeah, I mean, everybody was gonna do, and here's the thing: it's still wrong, right? Like, I'm not big up in Democrats doing it, but states are allowed to do this, right? But I think that, because I mean, the red line has occurred forever. Like, that's always been the case. Texas just took it to the extreme, and they took it so much to the extreme that California was like, all right, we got to fix this, right? Virginia's like, okay, we got to fix this. So I'm not, again, hate to sound Southern, but right, states' rights, right? But I don't like it. I think that as population changes, the demographics of Congress should change. I mean, that makes sense to me. Demographics change, Congress change. But I get it. People feel like it's their country. They don't want things to change. It is what it is. Sisters need to do what they actually said they were going to do. Rest. Man, again, Jasmine Crockett, I'm not surprised she lost. I knew she was going to lose. Us being that vested, and I say us, I'm talking about black folks, matriarchal black men, and our black women being that vested. When you see what it takes to win, again, identity politics have to die. You have to want to win right now. The next 4 to 6 years has to be focused on winning, man. It can't be. Look, I would rather have an administration that stole the old way quietly and lightly than an administration that's just outright just like depositing billions of dollars. Okay. But anyway, tonight's topic. I can't believe I just ran it for like 15 minutes. All right. Tonight's topic, PSYOPs. And I want to show you guys something in real time that can happen to all of us, right? Highly intelligent people. Doesn't matter how educated you are. Doesn't matter what you know, what you think you know, how much research you're doing. You are at risk of being PSYOP, okay? And this is especially important with what's going on right now in the Middle East. Prayers up to the Middle East. I actually have a friend out there that her family lives in Saudi. She lives in Bahrain. She stayed near the old base. They're actually going through it right now. Like, it's real people living real things. And when I was talking to her today, because her mom is coming to pick her daughter up to take her back to Saudi, she can't leave Bahrain right now because she's still waiting on her visa to go back to Saudi. And, I'm trying to be as encouraging as I can. And she's telling me when she was in Saudi as a child, right, she lived through Desert Storm. And she was like, the only time she has nightmares is remembering those sirens going off because, Saddam was launching Scuds into Saudi back in the 90s. I had completely forgotten about that. She hadn't, right? She actually lives it. She lived through it. Okay. Now her daughter, right, at the same age, right? Like, think about this, right? This is a mother. Now she has a daughter, right? And guess what her daughter's having to experience? The sirens, right? Like, this, for us, we just see it on the news. Well, we used to see it on the news. We ain't seeing nothing now. It's a total media blackout, which should be freaking us out, but we're not, right? But there's people that's actually living it. And being that I have traveled a little bit and met people in different parts of the world, now I have someone that I'm actually concerned on, and I'm checking in before I go to bed, and I'm checking in when I wake up to, let's be honest, like, to make sure she's alive. All right. So that's not neither here or there. It's just to remind us that there are real people that, are suffering from what we can't find on Twitter or news media right now. But again, let's go back to, can you be PSYOP, right? So I want y'all. So this is an article that came out in Fortune, 2 weeks ago, right? And if you can't see it, I'll try to read this for you. Jesse Jackson's enormous legacy includes helping popularize African American identity. Now, I want you to pay attention to these words here, African American. And this is, and what I'm about to go through right now, as much as I said we should not have thrown Jesse Jackson away, and I stand by that, right? But this is a clear indication that he helped popularize this term African American, and I believe it was a reason, okay? All right, but let's go through the article real quick. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who died Tuesday at the age of 84, helped push for the widespread usage of the term African American as a way to reclaim cultural identity. All right. The protege of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was joined by NAACP members and other movement leaders in the late 1980s to replace colored and blacks with a term they thought better represented the community ancestral roots and brought a sense of dignity, right? So this wasn't just Jesse Jackson by himself popularizing this term African American, right? But he's leading it. NAACP, as we know, it was not founded by us, also said, now, this happened in the 80s, right? To replace the word colored and blacks, right? To quote, to be called African Americans have cultural integrity. It puts us in proper historical context, Jackson said. At the time, every ethnic group of this country has a reference to some historical, cultural base. All right? Now, I'm going to hop down here, right? African Americans was used by some scholars long before the push by Jackson and the NAACP. Now, I want to be clear here. It's not just him. It is Jackson and the NAACP that is pushing this, right? So Jesse Jackson's civil rights era, probably everyone who works for the NAACP during this time frame is also from the civil rights era, right? But it did not enter common vernacular until the Reverend drummed up community support. The term appears early in 1782 in a pamphlet, blah, 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 by Yale librarian Yale Shapiro, right? So this is not what we're calling ourselves. This is something that Mr. Shapiro called us in 1782. All right. But pay attention to what I'm saying here, right? We can be PSYOP, and we were PSYOP. And this is how we know we were PSYOP. Let's play this video real quick here.
Recently, Jet magazine asked its black readers to answer the following question: what ethnic name do you prefer to be known by? Jet gave its readers these 5 possibilities.
So Jet magazine, 1970, right? So Civil Rights Act, 1964, doesn't really matter because nothing changed. 1968, Dr. King is assassinated, or a lot of people are assassinated between 64 and 68. Dr. King is kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. There's riots that break out. Things start changing, right? So one of the things that start changing is, how do you want to be identified.
In what order do you think they were chosen by the Jet readers? The 5 choices which you see on the screen are shuffled, if you'll excuse the expression,
All right.
from the final results of the Jet.
So what they have on the screen is African, Negro, Black, Colored, Afro-American. Oh, excuse me, African-American. I said African. African-American, Negro, Black, Colored, Afro-American. So it is asking all of the blacks, as we know, Jet Magazine at this time, Johnson Publishing, this is the #1 publisher for black magazines. Some of you youngsters may not know this, but Jet, Ebony, these were huge deals in black homes back in the day. So this is a poll of black people, right? This is going to be people that have fought in the civil rights era. This is going to be for people that has voted in the civil rights era, and for for a lot of people that didn't do anything but's familiar with it, right? Jesse Jackson would have been familiar with how we want it to be seen.
Poll. And now for the answer. At the bottom, in 5th place, was that old euphemism, colored.
5th place, colored, right? Which is why everybody got on Tyler's ass. All right.
4th place was that schizoid term, African American.
He called African American a schizoid term, right? It is barely above colored. Jesse Jackson knows this. He is in the middle of the civil rights era. He knows that this is not a term that blacks want to go by.
American. In 3rd place, with less than a quarter of the vote.
They would rather be called Negro during this time frame than to be called African American.
Was the term Negro, the word which the white community and communications media are accustomed to use. In 2nd place was the term black.
Black was actually 2nd place on the list.
And in a comfortable lead for the moment is the phrase Afro-American.
Afro-American had a comfortable lead. All right. This is 1970. Black America. First off, every black person in America during this time frame is a descendant of an enslaved prisoner of war. Every single one. It's like 5 immigrants in the 1970s. Not literally 5, but it's close. It's not a lot, right? You cannot immigrate in this country at this time, right? The #1 term that black people wanted to be called was Afro-American, right? Which makes sense when you look at Afro-Colombians, Afro-Brazilians, Afro-Mexicans, kind of what everybody else uses, right? So it made sense that this would be a term that we also would use, right? But #2 was black. How did we go from want to be known as Afro-Americans and black to African-Americans? And this is why I'm saying you can be psyoped and not even know it, right? I was psyop. When I started filling out my college application forms, FAFSA forms, job applications, all these things are occurring in the 90s, right? In a less than a 10-year window, right? Everything on the application was black, African-American, black, African-American. I didn't even realize until I was way older, right, that Afro-American was a thing. I always thought that if I heard someone say Afro-American, I always thought that they were trying to say African-American, right? Someone had to push for the NAACP and Jesse Jackson, both of whom would have been aware of this legacy of black people wanting to be called black in this country, but mainly to be called Afro-Americans, to say we're going to push the term African-American, which was right above colored, right? Why would they do that? Now, I hate to go down the conspiracy, rabbit hole here, but I have to think they had to do that to see what kind of influence do you need to be able to push whatever kind of culture you want, and who are the best people? Who are the best people to test that on? It's black Americans. It was Afro-Americans. And I believe from that one psyop is how you get everything else done now. They understand what you think today does not matter. If they could put the right influential person in front of you to say the opposite. Jesse Jackson is pretty much responsible for the platform of running for president and being the most popular person in the 80s when it came to black politicians. That they were able to popularize a term, and that taught them something about how you can make people think whatever you want within a culture. Yeah, I remember Latinx, and I guess it kind of went away because it wasn't no influence. Now, to that point, right? If Bad Bunny said he was Latinx, you probably get something from that, and I think they learned something from that. They had to be. There's no way for the NAACP and Jesse Jackson to push the term African American, knowing that African Americans found that term to be almost disrespectful, unless they were told to do that. And I'm saying that to say, as black American men, we have to understand that we cannot be concrete thinkers. We can't be having conversations for the sake of winning conversations. We have to be on constant guard and aware that we can be psyop. Jesse Jackson, I'm giving you that he was problematic. I'm giving that to you. I'm telling you right now, he was problematic. Obviously, someone told him to do this and he did it. And we still should not throw him away. Like when I went through that guy's resume, it was impressive. If anybody on Capitol Hill right now is an Anglo-American had went and freed hostages from Iran, Iraq, Venezuela, and Libya, they'd be running for the office of presidency and would be known as the great negotiator. That guy did that, and we threw him away. We are not in a position anymore where we could throw away qualified people. Yeah, they knew exactly. They knew we would, and that's what I'm saying. That's the psyop. That is the psyop. And we have to be aware of that. Like, we have to understand, like, this is a clear psyop, right? It wasn't a term that was being used. It was seen to be disrespectful. Sociologist Walter Allen, who is black, called the adoption of the term a significant psychological and cultural turning point. What? And here's the thing: it had to be done for fun, because what's the difference between an African American and Afro American? It literally was just a test to see if it could be done. Literally, just a test to see if it could be done. But when you go down here, the term black and African American are often used interchangeably in the U.S. Though black is often seen as more inclusive, it is broader and can include people from Latin America and the Caribbean, and also Africa. Is why we don't have any more leader, because we throw our best and brightest way. No, absolutely. And again, he was wrong for that. But this is where I would say now, as black men, now that we are more educated, more learned, right? We read more. We can call our leaders out. Now, we have a hard time with this because God, boy, I tell you all the time, I would get reamed for my critiques of Barack Obama. And it was never that I didn't like Obama. I wasn't going to vote for Obama. But it was like, hey, I kind of see some fuckery going on right now, and I should be ethnically black Americans. And I think our ethnogenesis started way too late. Our ethnogenesis should have begun in the 1970s, right? But we didn't have anything to lean up against. And unfortunately, that's how arguments work, right? Like, most of the time, an argument has to lean against something, right? Like, if you're not teaching something, or if you haven't created a hypothesis and found out that answer to be true, most of the time your argument has to lean against something. And African American, black American, those terms start meaning something when you start having, me no black, right? And you start having I'm black, and people like, I don't think you black. I don't think you black like that, right? It started leaning against something. But the fact that they changed it from us identifying ourselves as Afro-American to a term that we actually hate, that was intentional, and I think that was to see, could they psyop the American people. White is right, black is wrong connotation. No, absolutely. Which is why we should have embraced Afro-American. And I'm not mad at the term African-American. I know what it means. I don't think it's disrespectful. But I think when you see that that's not what you wanted to be called and they force you to be called that, right? I think that's purposeful, is all I'm saying. I think they needed us to see if we could be adopted, right? Are these people malleable, right? Can we train them in the direction that we want to go? And to piggyback off what June saying, like the crack cocaine era killed our generation, right? I think once it was proven that we was pliable, I don't think that the drug trade, right, which we never took over trafficking, we only took over minor distribution, right? So we never really got paid for the drugs the way we should have, as most criminal demographics become paid, right? And then we went to, and then if you look at our music, right? How our music at that time, like we went from an R&B era, right, a happy era of music, to gangster rap, right? Gangster rap became trapping music. Trapping music became drill music, right? I think once you see how malleable someone is, you start being a bit, well, what else can we do with those people? And I just wanted to point out that was a psyop. And that psyop actually came in through the NAACP and Jesse Jackson. And again, I still don't think you should throw Jesse Jackson away. Because, I mean, when I look at they not throwing away Mitch from Kentucky. They not throwing away anybody on Capitol Hill. They threw away George Bush. They don't throw away their folks. So I will say, this is just calling people to the carpet. This isn't saying that people need to be thrown away. But that was an obvious psyop, and that's something that we need to be aware of, is when we hear something from the top, right? Or we hear someone that we respect that says they cheated, right? That's why I don't like that by Jasmine. Because I low-key feel like you said that and you were told to say that, right? But if I just say that, it sounds like I'm hating. It sounds like I'm hating if I just throw that out there, right? And what I want to point out is, it's easy in retrospect to see, you know what? Black Americans, Afro-Americans being called African American by the NAACP and Jesse Jackson, that was an obvious psyop, right? It's easier for us to see that now. We knew something was off in Jesse, right? That's why we stopped kind of fucking with him, right? And we shouldn't have did that, but what we should have did is called him to the carpet. Exactly, was easily influenced by individuals. Hard to influence a community that actually has a culture, and the culture has a code of conduct. Bam, there you go. And that's what we got to build now amongst ourselves. I don't know if we can influence the community anymore, right? And I say we, I'm talking about like productive black men. I think productive black men have to take that story of Abraham serious, right? When God came to Abraham and said, hey, I want to bless you. I want to make you the father of nations, but I can't do it where you're at right now. Right? You got to leave your kindred and acquaintance and go to a land that I'll show you. And I'm not saying that there's a land that we need to go to that the Lord's going to show us. I mean, I know where I want to go. I'm not saying that I can lead anybody to the promised land though. Right? But I do think a separation and productive black men having an actual code of conduct, I think that will save the community. Right? Maybe not this community per se, but I think the ideal of an Afro-American community, a Black American community, it comes through you guys. That's where it comes through. So that's all I really had for tonight, man. I appreciate y'all chiming in. This will replay in the Black Dash Club group on Facebook. This camera angle is a little bit better. I'm still figuring this thing out. Look like my light went out while I was speaking. But yo, man, hey, I appreciate y'all coming in, man, and politicking with your boy. I'm gonna get out of here, finish up some homework with the kiddo, and that's all I got, man. Hey, and I appreciate it, June. We need to get up, man. they keep their people. But yeah, fellas, hey man, y'all boys have